3 people, 1 stone, and for the first years of its life, nobody could say who they were. It stands 4 meters high in an open loggia in Florence, where it has stood since August 1582. No walls, no glass, no rope. A man lifts a woman above his head. Beneath them, a second man is crushed into the ground. 3 bodies twisting upward in a spiral, and every part of it was cut from a single block of white Carrara marble. Start with the hand. Where the Roman grips her hip, the marble gives. The fingers press in, and the surface yields around them, the way skin yields. There is no edge, no seam, no line where flesh meets stone, because there is no flesh. The block simply behaves as though there were. Now look down. There is a third figure most people never fully see. An older man, crouched at the base, half of him hidden from almost every angle. That is not an accident of where you happen to be standing. The Roman's knees and feet are pressing him down and out of view. The occlusion was carved on purpose. The sculptor built a figure and then engineered the conditions under which you would fail to see him. The block was recorded as the largest ever brought into Florence. 410 centimeters, 1 piece. There was no second block waiting if this one failed. That matters more than it sounds, because of where the carving started. He began at the bottom. He began with the old man, the figure you can barely see. Everything above him, the Roman's full weight, the woman lifted clear of the ground, resolves downward through that crouched body and into the plinth. He committed to the foundation before he had settled the mass it would have to carry. And to make one stone read as 3 separate people, he had to undercut, remove material from behind and beneath the forms, cutting into shadow he could not see while cutting it. Every gram of stone taken out to create air was a gram that could never be put back, and every one of them narrowed the margin between a sculpture and a collapse. In June 1579, he wrote to the Duke of Parma about a composition of this kind. His stated purpose was to give scope to the wisdom and study of art. Not to tell a story, to prove something. He rehearsed it. Small wax models first, then clay, then a full-scale version he could walk around before a chisel ever touched the block. That chain of rehearsals still exists, scattered across 3 cities. The full-size cast in the Accademia in Florence, a bronze study at the Metropolitan Museum in New York, wax sketches in London. He left almost no drawings. He thought with his hands, in 3 dimensions, because a spiral like this cannot be planned on paper. Then take 1 step to the left. The whole thing reorganizes. Arms that were reaching become arms that are falling. The composition has no principal viewpoint, no side that counts as the front, which sounds like a flourish until you follow the consequence. A statue with a front has a back, and a back is where a sculptor hides his compromises. This one has nowhere to put them. Every angle had to be finished to the same standard, because every angle is the front. Whether anyone asked for it is not settled. Some documents point to a Medici commission. A letter from October 1581 announces the group as expected. Other scholars, among them Michael Cole at Columbia, argue it was never commissioned at all, that Giambologna made it to force the Medici to notice him. He was around 50. He was Flemish, 3 decades into a Florentine career, spent losing competitions to men who had been born there. He signed the pedestal accordingly. Opus Johannis Bolognae Flandri, 1582. The work of Johannes of Boulogne, of Flanders. He put the word foreigner on the base of the largest object in the most Florentine square on earth, in the spot where Donatello's Judith had stood since 1506. He was chasing something specific. Pliny the Elder had recorded that the ancients cut their great groups from single stones. The Laocoon, the Farnese bull. Giambologna studied Hellenistic carving closely, and he wanted the same claim. When those ancient groups were excavated, they turned out to be assembled from several blocks each. He broke a record that had never been set, which brings us to the part that changes the sculpture. It had no subject, not a lost one, not a hidden one. While he was carving, Giambologna did not know who these three people were. His own working titles included Paris and Helen, Pluto and Proserpina, Phineus and Andromeda, the same three bodies, three unrelated tragedies, each fitting equally well. He named his works late, and reluctantly, and without much interest. The title came from outside the workshop. Raffaello Borghini, a Florentine writer, claimed in a treatise published in 1584 that he visited Giambologna, argued that the Andromeda reading did not fit, and proposed the abduction of the Sabines instead. Some accounts credit a different Borghini, Vincenzo, his great-uncle. Though Vincenzo had died in August 1580, 2 years before the statue was installed, and the two men are frequently confused in the literature, what is not disputed is the direction of travel. The stone was finished first, the story arrived afterwards. And then it was fastened on. A bronze relief showing the Roman legend was added to the pedestal, so that the marble above it would mean what the city had decided it meant. The English word attached to it is a mistranslation, incidentally. The Italian ratto and the Latin raptio describe a mass seizure, an abduction. Part of the violence in the title is a translation error, sitting on top of the violence in the stone. Now the detail that should end this. Florence celebrated. In 1583, a printer published a volume of sonnets in praise of the new sculpture, and another followed the year after. Dozens of poems, written by men who had walked around it in the piazza and gone home to write about it. Not one of them names the Sabines. The city stood in front of the most technically extreme object it had produced in a generation, applauded it, printed books about it, and did not yet know who it was looking at. Which leaves the old man. For 4 centuries, visitors have read his face, turned away, mouth open, features contorted, as a father watching his daughter carried off. Cole reads that contortion as shame rather than pain. But if there was no father and no daughter, if there were only 3 bodies and a load path, if he was carved first precisely because everything above him had to come down through his back, then that expression is not grief at all. It is the shape a human face makes under 410 centimeters of marble, a father losing his child, or a man built to hold a weight. Florence decided. The sculptor never did.